Okay, we just hit record. If you can open up the meeting.
Absolutely. Good afternoon, everybody. Today is Thursday, January 9th, 2025. It is 4:07 p.m. We are in a hybrid meeting, which is both in person and on Zoom, being held at 1059 Somerset Avenue in Dighton. The Zoom ID to join the meeting is 899-8115-9770, passcode 466325. This meeting is being recorded for playback on the Town of Dighton homepage and YouTube channel. Would you please stand and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance?
Yes, this way, correct, yep.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay.
Thank you all very much for coming today. So the first item on the agenda is the approval of the previous meeting minutes that Laura was kind enough to send to us earlier in the week. Did everybody have a chance to review those minutes?
Yes.
I did as well. I did not personally note any corrections. Did anybody have any corrections or additions that they'd like to see made?
I did not.
Nope, nor I. All right, so with that being said, I will now entertain a motion to approve the previous meeting minutes from December 12th.
I will make that motion.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, since we are in a hybrid meeting, I'd like to please ask for a roll call vote.
Laura, I.
Trista, I.
Jonathan abstained. I wasn't at the meeting.
Yes.
Understood. And Paul is an aye. Motion carries.
Perfect.
The next and really only substantive item on the agenda is the further review, discuss, and act on the application and criteria. Did everybody have a chance to review the materials that Laura compiled and sent out?
Yes.
Yes. So first of all, Laura, I just want to recognize your hard work here. This was absolutely fabulous. From the minutes to compiling the application to making the additions to putting together the FAQ sheet and guidelines into a very very user-friendly and aesthetic format. I think you did an absolutely fantastic job.
Thank you.
I was reviewing these, and I absolutely love it, frankly.
And I thank both you and Jonathan for creating the originals and me just tweaking them because you guys created all of that content. I just tweaked it a little bit. So thank both of you for your hard work.
Well, since we're all thanking each other, I will say, in all seriousness, and I really do mean this wholeheartedly, it's wonderful to see a committee where all of us have worked really diligently and be so hyper-focused on what we're doing and just getting things done.
I agree.
It's a breath of fresh air, to be honest.
Love to hear that.
Absolutely. Teamwork makes the dream work.
That's
Yep.
right.
And so I actually, I love everything about the application. I think we've put together something that is functional, that is user-friendly. Since we're going to be catering to an audience that is, primarily elderly and are people with disability, I think that we've made it very easy and streamlined. I think we've taken a lot of the clerical legwork out of this on behalf of people while also preserving our ability to gather the important information that we're going to need. And I have some exciting news to share as well, because I got off the phone literally about 10 minutes before the meeting with Matt Costa from Gay and Gay, the town's council.
Oh, no kidding.
Yes. So he had a chance to review our disclaimer that we wrote up. He said that he was very happy with it. He said that he thinks it looks great. There's one thing that he's waiting on because he's actually asked for a second opinion from another attorney.
Okay.
On one matter, which is he believes that what we've written is completely sufficient. The only thing that he just wants to be sure is there are a number of exemptions from the public record law, and one of them is for specifically exemption applications, and the other is I forget specifically what the exemption is, but it's basically for personal financial information for specific individuals that are not directly related to public business. So the only thing he's waiting on is clarification, just to confirm beyond a shadow of a doubt that if the assessors are to pass off the exemption application to us, that application will not become public record. He said, based on his first interpretation, he thinks we're all good. He just wanted to get one other, it's what do they say? An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. So he just wants to get one. I apologize too if you can hear it in the background.
And I think that technically, Paul, that makes sense. And the reason I say that is I know, and I'll use me as an example. When I'm doing my work as the ADA coordinator, and I have residents coming to me with specific matters, there are times when I might need to share certain things with the Commission on Disability, but I can't share certain information about the residents. And the reason for that is, in my position as the ADA coordinator, I'm a paid employee of the town. But in my position as on the COD, I'm liaison, and that is a volunteer committee. And that's part of the issue, I think, potentially, is that although many of us, all of us here are one way or another paid by the town for what we do, we're paid in another position. This is a volunteer committee, so there's a real issue potentially as to about what can or can't be shared. But I agree, I think we're probably okay.
I'm excited to hear the official second opinion on that.
Yes, exactly. So they really just want to just carve out specifically what exemption applies to the public records, because I think there's like 8 or 12 of them. And so what they wanted to do is just make sure that, if we were to ever receive a public record request, they just wanted to be able to provide us with the legal language that we can reply with, which, citing the exemption, because typically under the public record law, there's a number of exemptions, but when you're denying a public record request on the basis of exemption, you're required to cite which exemption. And so their initial interpretation is that the privacy seal, so to speak, will be preserved, but they just wanted to just get a second opinion just to make sure that we're citing all of the legal protections that are available to our applicants so that people are as buttoned up and protected as possible. And so what Attorney Costa recommended was that if we were otherwise satisfied with the process, the procedure, and the documentation that we've promulgated so far, what they recommended was that if the rest of the committee is amenable, we could entertain a motion to approve the language as presented, subject to any tweaks or revisions from legal. So
I make that motion. Oh, sorry.
Hey, all right.
I was ready.
No. All right, motion boldly made. Is there a second?
Can you make sure you put that in the minute?
Motion boldly made.
Boldly
I
made,
like that.
yes.
I like that.
Is there a second?
Oh, I second that.
Oh, Trista
A little
second.
less boldly, but regular.
All right.
Calmly seconds.
All right, a motion calmly seconded. That said, is there any further discussion?
No.
All right, hearing none, I'll please call for a roll call vote.
Laura, aye.
Trista, I.
Jonathan, I.
Paul is an aye. So now that is done, I'd like to take this time to pause and congratulate all of you. I think that we have really, this bylaw was adopted by the town many years ago, and this is the first time we've ever really had not only a committee to administer it, but an energetic, collaborative, frankly, I think fun committee. And
Agreed.
and so that being said, we don't have any further details yet, but I was informally told by the assessor's office that we've already had one person who has requested our assistance.
Oh, wow.
And so right now, the assessing office is collecting the applications.
Excellent.
And Attorney Costa stated that he expects to have a formal drafted written opinion to me no later than Monday afternoon. And
Wow.
so,
Okay.
yeah, so after that, if there are any tweaks or revisions, Laura, would you be amenable to me sending those to you so that you could incorporate them into the language on the application as it currently stands?
Absolutely.
So what I would suggest, just to cover ourselves, is before we adjourn tonight, we should, for all intents and purposes, if there's going to be any change, set another date, because we may formally have to adopt those word changes.
We could do that. If you're more comfortable doing that, that's completely fine. Attorney Costa did tell me that the motion that we just utilized to accept them as written subject to revisions from legal, he said that would authorize us under the law to perform those changes kind of in the background without the need to formally meet. But if you'd be more comfortable having another meeting to memorialize it, I'm totally amenable to that too. So I guess I'll enter that into discussion, and if we kind of form a consensus on what folks are most comfortable with, we've got a great momentum going, and I'm happy to continue to go with the flow.
I think if the motion we just made, if legal thinks that's fine, then I feel like we might not have to meet. Unless it would be a change elsewhere aside from that legal section.
Right.
Yeah.
Then, like, if we're gonna change something, I think more drastically, but if it's involved with, actually, I'm sorry, let me regroup. If it changes the way we want to create this process, if we're not able to actually use the state's application, which it doesn't sound like that's what he's concerned about, then I think we'd have to like actually regroup on how to even do the process. But if it's just a matter of a small fix, I don't think we'd have to meet. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I don't know.
How would everybody feel about this? What if we schedule a meeting tentatively, pending
Okay.
his opinion, and then in the event he comes back and says, if it's something as simple as, put a comma here, or, something silly and, totally, kind of like a Scrivener's correction, then then I can just send out an email, because we are allowed to talk as a quorum to discuss the scheduling of meetings. We can't discuss the specific items. We can't deliberate.
Yeah.
But we can we exchange availabilities and kind of mutually determine whether the meeting can be postponed, rescheduled, that sort of thing. So how would you feel if we were to schedule a tentative meeting, and then in the event that it was deemed to not be necessary, then we could schedule a meeting later in the season once we start getting a couple more applications and start beginning to do our initial review of the applications? Would that be fair?
And I guess that's what I was thinking, is that if what he says is just, minimal change, then there's no reason for us. And I should have clarified that. I apologize.
That's okay.
To not, there's no need for it. But if what he does is substantive and, potentially affects other parts of the application, then that's when I think we would need to meet to review.
Yeah.
So I agree with that.
That makes perfect sense to me. So how would folks feel about, just to keep with our Thursdays at 4 theme, what if we were to schedule a tentative second meeting? How are folks' availabilities for Thursday the 23rd? That's 2 weeks from today.
I'm free.
I'll be out of state, but I would trust you guys, as long as we obviously have a quorum, to be able to vote on that.
We could also look at the 16th as well, if that's I'm just throwing spaghetti at the wall. Like this.
I'm off the 16th. What about the 30th? Is that too late?
I'd like to try to meet a little earlier if possible.
Okay.
Yeah.
But we can, Jonathan, what does your schedule look like?
I'm just checking right now real quick.
Yeah.
Take your time.
But I think the 23rd will work for me.
Okay, perfect.
And I'd be leery about going sooner, because very often attorneys say, I'll have it to you next week. And, you go 2 weeks, 3 weeks later.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So I'm just checking real quick here. Just
Sure.
give me
And if folks are more comfortable with the 30th, that's of course fine too.
No, 23rd works.
Perfect. So if you three can meet on the 23rd, and if Bill's
Yep.
available, awesome.
Yep.
Yeah.
And we could even do that one by Zoom if it's not substantive. If we have to meet, it's going to be a relatively short meeting, I think.
Absolutely, I concur. So how do we feel about scheduling a tentative special meeting for Thursday the 23rd at 4 p.m. And what we could do is make it a hybrid meeting with the option to, at our own kind of mutual discretion, to do a Zoom only meeting. Is that fair?
Yeah,
Works for me. Is that okay for you?
absolutely.
Yep.
All right. Is there a motion?
So you said, I'm sorry, just to clarify for my minutes, the special meeting that will be, if it's voted, which I assume it will be, on the 23rd would be a Zoom only?
Option for Zoom only.
Oh, okay, so it'll be, all right, so it'll be kind of similar to what it is.
Yes.
Okay. Am I able to make that motion even though I won't be able to be there?
Yeah.
Make that motion. Special meeting on January 23rd, 2025, via Zoom or in person at the Council on Aging at 4 p.m.
Second.
All right, motion made and seconded. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please by roll call vote.
Laura, I.
Trista, I.
Jonathan, I.
Paul is an aye. All right, excellent. And any public input? I think you're doing a great job. That's my public input.
Now let me just ask, because maybe I missed something when I was reviewing documents.
Yes.
Do we have the actual letter that's going to go in the mailer yet?
He did send that.
Did I miss that?
It was sent with the actuals the week of Christmas, right, Paul?
Yes, yep.
Okay. No, then I didn't know if there was more of an update or something I missed.
I
So,
guess something I would, add in public input. So now that we have, personally on my end, COA end, I was waiting to fully advertise this until we made this vote to have the full process and understand how to tell people where to go. Well, we knew it was going to go through assessors, but wait until we got that confirmation on how this was all really going to play out. Now that we pretty much made that vote and are just waiting on that last piece from legal, are we able, I don't know if we need to do this in an actual like review, discuss and act in a different meeting on doing the advertising, or we pretty much already discussed how we were going to? Are we able to just start doing that? Can I add it into my Strawberry Vine for the month of February?
when do you need to know
I
by?
need to submit this to my printing press tomorrow
So what?
for February's newsletter. So that's why I wanted to bring it up today.
Gotcha. So what I would say is that if it has to go by tomorrow, I would personally recommend holding off just because we want to make sure that we get the legal review through.
Okay,
And
perfect.
once the legal review is through, since this is a public meeting, any member of the public would be welcome to join. And if any member of the public were to see, and once we get legal review, and that becomes a matter of public record, really anybody would have the right to tell anybody in the community, right? It's a public
Right,
meeting.
that's a good point.
So I would say that once, now that this is a matter of public record, and then once we get that final legal review, I would personally feel like within your professional capacity, you have the exact same right to popularize a public matter as any other private citizen. So I wouldn't see any problem with it.
All right, so I'll probably hold off until I work on the March newsletter, which, and then we can really push it from our committee standpoint on the, like, I would probably put this guideline that we just voted on, really push that out there once we get all the T's and I's dotted and crossed from legal. Hopefully we'll hear back next week from them.
And I think similarly, once we have this approved and legal's finished looking at it, that way I can put it on the ADA Facebook page as well and put the links in there with guidelines and so forth as well. Want it that way too.
Definitely.
Excellent. Perfect. Before we look for a motion to adjourn, does anybody else have any other matters they'd like to discuss?
No.
All right.
When does the mailer go out again for the town?
The newsletter or his mailer?
His mailer.
It went out the week of Christmas.
Okay.
Yep. So mine go out usually the last week of Christmas and the last week of June. Is under the law, I'm required to have them postmarked prior to January 1st and July 1st, respectively.
Okay.
And so we utilized the same mailer. The Board of Selectmen, as you recall, at our meeting back in June or maybe May, when we voted to direct me to update the inserting, the insert that gets mailed to include the updated language on the application windows and where folks can apply. So that was the mailer, the updated mailer that we discussed in June. That was the same one that went out in December.
Okay. The only reason I'm asking is I didn't receive anything.
I think you might have said yours automatically, like your mail or
No, the bank,
yours
the
gets
bank
handled by the
takes it
bank,
out of my
right?
mortgage, but I didn't know if that meant I physically would still get something.
Oh,
Because
okay.
usually I do.
Right.
Usually I do.
So Jonathan, you should receive a tax bill. They are mailed to the resident.
Even though the bank pays it for my mortgage, I usually do get a copy of the tax bill with the insert, and I did not
You
receive
know what,
it.
Jonathan? I just got my tax bill Tuesday, I think. But honestly, I always give it to hubby because same thing. It comes out of our mortgage, so it's
Yeah.
not like something that's due right then.
Yeah.
Oh, so maybe we'll be getting it this week.
Yeah. Yep.
I will say that I haven't received the stamped affidavit of mailing from the postmaster yet, but I did check in with the printer just to confirm when they dropped it off and when they got it stamped in anticipation of me getting the affidavit in a couple of days.
Yeah.
They were stamped by the postmaster at approximately 11 a.m. on New Year's Eve, which is the date before the deadline.
Okay.
Right. So with the next day being a holiday, and today the Postal Service was closed for the observance of President Carter's funeral service. So,
Yep.
and I'm sure there's probably still some lagging holiday season mailing that might be kind of congesting things. So while I personally would have expected everybody to receive their bills right now, I could conceivably see it. It might very well be in your mailbox tomorrow morning.
Okay. All right. Good to know. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And if you don't receive it, then just please let me know, and I'll confirm the address that's on file for the mailing of the bills in the tax software, and then I'll follow up and we'll see if it's a postal issue or if it's an issue on the town end.
I'll give it till the first of the week. We'll see what happens.
Okay, sounds great.
Thank you.
Thank you. If there's no other further business, I will now entertain a motion to adjourn.
I make the motion to adjourn at 4:27 p.m.
All right, motion made. Is there a second?
I second that.
Any discussion? Hearing none. I'll call for a vote by roll call, please.
Laura, aye.
Trista, aye.
I have another meeting at 5, so I think you should all stay just to keep me company. But I'll vote aye just because I know you don't want to.
Yeah, much obliged, Jonathan. Thank you. Please give our warm regards to the audience. Right. Well, thank you all very much. I really appreciate it. It's a pleasure as always. I hope you all have a wonderful weekend, and I look forward to checking in with you on the status of the legal review early next week.
Awesome.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you, Paul.
Have a
Good
good
luck with the
night.
kids.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.